Welcome back to the show. Getting married is a wonderful thing, but it can also be stressful for the bride. But you know it can be stressful for the groom, too. Men's style blogger Richard Meharry is here with tips to help all the grooms out there. And I love that you are focusing on this. And first and foremost, tell us about the new service you're offering, Finale.
Yeah, so the Finale basically makes a rich groom experience just like their counterparts, the bride. So we focus on everything from fashion and styling for grooms, groomsmen, and then speeches, vows, honeymoon planning.
My goodness, so you're the wedding coordinator for the groom.
Of course.
You know, this is something that should have been thought of a long, long time ago, and I'm glad you're doing it. So let's go through some of the tips you have. And actually, by tips, some of the mistakes he wanted to share. So mistake number one, skipping out on wedding vendors. What does this mean?
So one, you gotta show up. Like, everybody thinks they can just come on the wedding day, and that's not what the groom is supposed to do.
Okay.
So you wanna check in with your vendors, because if you were just fiscally responsible, you wanna know where your money's going. And then also it builds intimacy with your partner.
That's huge. That's a really good point. Okay, mistake number two, groom ghosting. What is this?
So if you've ever dated in the 21st century, you've probably been ghosted before at least once.
I mean, not me, but...
Never that. But, you know, you don't want to do that to your significant other, so
Right.
they've probably started when they're 9 and have a Pinterest board, but you need to have opinions on all these things. And so when you go to meet your vendors, you can actually add your own personality.
Oh, that's a really good idea. And you won't know it unless you start kind of getting involved in not ghosting out of there, right?
Exactly.
Okay, okay. Mistake number three, gifts for the groomsmen.
Yeah, so, you know, the Snoop song, let the homies get some.
Yeah.
That just means that you really should take into consideration how much they are spending as well.
Yeah.
So there's no hard, fast rules. 10 to 25% of how much they're spending is what you should get back.
10 to 25%. Okay. You know, it's interesting, actually. In my experience, the groom's gifts are always much nicer than the gifts I got as a bridesmaid. Like, I spent $300 on this dress and I get a pair of earrings. No, thank you. But I love that you're making guys focus on that, and that's important. So, mistake number four, groom gone wild. I think I know what this means.
That's right. I mean, so we all have our stories from the glory days of JV and recess.
Yes.
But this is now, you got to tell your groomsmen, this is not the time of the wedding day. So save those crazy wild stories from spring break for the bachelor party, and then have something a little more curated for your actual big day.
Okay. And also kind of a good reminder, too, that when you are at all these parties, not to act a fool.
Of course, you know, get their name right.
Yes. Exactly. Mistake number five, winging the vows.
Yes, and you know, it always baffles me going to tons of weddings, because I'm sure you've gone to a wedding and the speeches were not great.
Yep.
But there's such a curated day, but this is such a big piece and an intimate piece that people forget.
Yeah.
So even if you are not an orator, make sure that you plan something out, even if you're just doing it for your first look or saying your vows after.
Amen to that. I have to say, I brought my leather-bound book out when I read my vows, and everyone got a laugh. But you know, you want to be prepared.
Yeah, memorize them.
Mistake number six, don't lose the tie too soon.
That's right, and that's just the stylist in me. So men inherently just love to be comfortable, especially if you're in the Pacific Northwest.
Yes.
With athleisure rules.
We're used to this.
But, you know, we have pictures, you have speeches and toasts. So even if you are getting less formal as you go within the day, you know, lose the jacket, but keep your tie bar and your tie all the way cinched up so you look good.
What would your pitch be, your elevator pitch for a guy out there who's saying, I'm a groom, I don't need all this?
Yeah, and really it's, hey, this is only going to happen once. You deserve to have an elevated, rich experience just like the bride does.
That's great. It was such a pleasure talking to you. This
pleasure.
is a great service. I hope a lot of people take advantage of it, because it really is a special time, and you've got to do your best to make it memorable.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.